Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back for a bonus upload. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below, my merch displayed directly under this video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get into today's bonus upload. Shall we? All right, guys. So for a while now, I have talked a little bit about some beliefs or theories that I have, like with the Neanderthal. Also the American Chupacabra, because in my eyes, there are two different versions of the Chukacabra. There is the Central and South American, or Puerto Rican as well, Chukacabra, which is more a reptilian-looking creature. And then the American Chupacabra, which looks very similar to a canine. A kind of an idol of mine, a zoologist and just a great person in general, Forrest Gallant. He studies and finds extinct species. He's found like 3, I believe. And like one would be the Galapagos tortoise. But he has a theory. This guy is friggin' brilliant. He believes that the American Chupacabra is actually a thylacine. There was apparently a breeding pair of thylacine getting shipped to the Brooklyn Zoo back in the early 1900s. Ship crashed off the coast of North Carolina, and the animals were supposed to have drowned. Well, Forrest's theory, and mine, because it makes a lot of sense, is that many of these animals escaped. Animals can swim. And this breeding pair of thylacine escaped to America, traveled, and through geographic evolution became what they are now. If you think about how the American Chupacabra looks, they have these abnormally long snouts, face just juts out, skinny but large, hairless or not really, thin like hair, dark brown. So who knows? It's a theory. Well, just a couple of days ago, a mysterious canine-like animal was found in Pennsylvania. And the picture of this animal is on the screen now. Could this be a baby Chupacabra? Could this be a baby thylacine changed through geographic evolution? I don't know, but here's the news article. And we can only wait until tests come back. I myself hope it is, because that would be so cool. Wildlife experts baffled by mystery canine rescued in Pennsylvania. Is it a coyote? Is it a dog? Genetic samples have been sent to a lab to confirm the animal's identity. Mystery canine, Pennsylvania, TJ's rescue hideaway. This mystery canine was rescued in Fairfield Township, Westmoreland County, in western Pennsylvania this week. Wildlife experts are now caring for the animal and awaiting the results of genetic tests to determine whether he is a dog or a coyote. Most of us probably feel confident that we can spot any old canine and simplify what it is by calling it a dog. It's not difficult to identify many of the breeds we recognize and keep as domesticated pets. And if we can't figure it out, mutt seems to work just fine. For animal rescue workers, these distinctions aren't always so clear-cut. They can make big differences in how an animal is handled depending on whether it's a lost pet wild animal in need of veterinary care. Sometimes it's a bit of a mystery. Early this week in western Pennsylvania, a woman came across a cold and shivering animal whose tracks she had spotted outside of her house. At first, she thought it must be her neighbor's dog, but a closer look led her to question what kind of canine she had encountered. I wasn't quite sure, but its behavior, it was scared, it was cold, and all I could think about was this animal needed help, said Christina Eath, the woman who rescued the animal in Fairfield, Westmoreland County, and spoke to WPIXI TV in Pittsburgh. To get help, Eath contacted TJ's Rescue Hideaway, a small foster-based dog and cat nonprofit that focuses on training and rehabilitating strays. In the meantime, she managed to make the animal comfortable in her home. A rescue organization was not able to determine superficially whether the animal is a dog or a coyote. Both species are canines, but the lines can be blurred between dogs, Canis familiaris, and coyotes, Canis latrans, and wolves, Canis lupus, since all are able to interbreed. The mangy and underfed state in which this animal is found made using behavioral cues a little less reliable than it may normally be in order to make a distinction. To play it safe, TJ's Rescue Hideaway passed the animal on to Wildlife Works Incorporated, another non-profit organization that focuses specifically on the rehabilitation and release of distressed wildlife. They take injured, ill, and orphaned animals of all kinds, including those that have been impacted by human interference, environmental contamination, or habit destruction. They transported it here and got it here, and I honestly cannot definitively say what this is, said Morgan Barron, a certified wildlife rehabilitator with Wildlife Works. It might be a coyote. We can keep it here, get genetic testing done, and go from there. Behavioral wise, he is very timid, very scared, non-aggressive. At all makes me lean towards a dog. Wildlife Works said it is now treating the animal and has already collected and sent out samples to determine exactly what he is. Updates on his condition will continue. The timeline is expected to be 2 to 4 weeks. Pennsylvania has a growing population of wild coy wolves, a mixture of the species that has sometimes been spotted in Philadelphia and surrounding suburbs with greater frequency over the past several years. Another variation on this coy dog, which is among the mixed canines that research teams study to gain ecological information that helps inform wildlife management. The animal rescued in western PA doesn't have an especially obvious resemblance to a coy wolf, but it's better to wait for the results of genetic testing than it is to speculate at this point. The poor guy does look a bit like Wile E. Coyote after Roadrunner has gotten the best of him a handful of times. Fortunately, he's under the care of experts and should emerge from this experience healthier and happier. I am not at all going to say this is a baby Dogman. It'd be cool, but part of me thinks that this creature, this poor animal, may be a Chukacabra, the Americanized Chukacabra. Americanized, geographical, evolutional changed thylacine. How friggin' cool would that be? That would be mind-blowing. It would literally set the scientific and cryptozoological fields on their heads. Like it just flip it all over. Because boom, we've got something. We've actually, oh my God, I am so excited. And I'm sounding like a little kid, right before his birthday or Christmas, but it would be so cool. And I'm glad that someone actually was willing enough to take this animal in and smart enough to figure out where it needed to go. It's a beautiful thing, So, but as of right now, it is a cryptid because no one knows what the hell this thing is. So it's pretty cool if you think about it. How about a bonus encounter? August 26, 2005, at around 2:30 in the morning, my two cousins were driving back from Minot, North Dakota. They were taking the back roads to get home faster. About 2 or 3 miles from home on Country Road 7, they said that they were just talking and noticed on the left side of the road a large, brown, hairy, 7 to 8 foot tall thing standing on the northbound lane. They said that they were going 50 to 55 miles an hour, slowed down a bit as they passed it. My cousin tapped on the brakes, and in the brake lights they saw it, and it frightened them, and they quickly drove home. As they got to one of my cousin's homes, they went and woke up my uncle and told him they saw a Sasquatch. Then they drove to my house and woke me up. I told them I didn't believe them, but they were both scared and shaking, so I knew they saw something. We took 2 spotlights, a 5 million and a 3.5 million. My uncle had a 1 million power light as well. We asked them to show us, in which they both agreed after calming down a bit. We took my aunt's van and headed north. They showed us the spot, and I asked them, which way do you think it was going? She said that it might have been moving west, so we headed westbound on Country Road 6, just north of White Shield, North Dakota. As we headed about 1 to 2 miles west from County Road 7, we turned northbound on County Road 5 as we were spotlighting in the cut wheat fields. I was on the passenger side, my uncle driving. We're both looking around with lights. Then I picked up a bright red reflection of eyes. I told my uncle to stop. I noticed this thing was on all fours, moving west towards us. Then it stopped and seemed to sit down. It literally looked like a gorilla from the movies. As we stopped and sat there, we must have watched it for 4 to 5 minutes. It seemed unreal to me, but as I started to realize that this is happening and we do not have gorillas in North Dakota, that's when my uncle noticed 2 more sets of eyes behind the one we were watching. My cousins are screaming and cussing at us to leave and call the police and the game commission. After that, we started to turn around and head back. I noticed it had stood up. That's when I said, let's get the fish and game out here. When I arrived at my house, my cousin called the BIA and said that they would contact the game warden. My uncle and I told my cousin to tell them that we are going back out there and wait for the game warden. My cousin's husband wanted to go with us. As we started to turn on Country Road 5, that's when we noticed a very strong and rank odor. We stopped, jumped out, and started to listen. That's when we noticed truck lights on the County Road 6. It was the game warden. We flashed them down and talked to them. We gave all the information. He said that he would check in the field and left, moving east with all of his spotlights on. That morning at daylight, we started looking for prints. We found some impressions in the fresh cut wheat field and ditch, prints 15.5 inches and 5.5 to 6 inches wide. We stopped a BIA officer and told him we found some impressions. So he took some pictures. The footprints pointed in the eastern direction. As we started to track them, we found 3 other sets that seemed like they were zigzagging around. After 30 minutes or so, we tracked it to a tree row where there were spots of cut hay put into piles and pine tree branches 2.5 inches thick snapped off. The sap was still oozing out from that break. There were no tall weeds, and that spot, as we walked around and found a slough just at the end of a tree row about 200 yards away. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's bonus upload. Who knows? The poor animal may not be anything, but like I said, as of right now, it is an unknown, unidentifiable species, which classifies it as a cryptid until it is then later figured out what it is. And hopefully it survives. Hopefully it's, it's obviously being well taken care of. I just hope when they genetically test it and they come back and they're like, guys, this is strange, but there is thylacine DNA in this. How crazy would that be, man? How crazy. There'd be proof. North American Chukacabra, baby. Anyway, thank you so much for all your support and always listening. Please be kind to each other, and may the Great Spirit watch over all of us and guide us down that path we call life. Until tomorrow, my friends.